If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I am, let's just say, a little inconsistent. The only thing I consistently do is dig my grave with Batman-centric content. I love Batman, but I'm totally limiting myself, and I just think that if I don't make anything that's not Batman, people aren't gonna watch it. My YouTube video ideas document is filled with videos I would absolutely watch myself, but most I can't really find the inspiration to make, or the time really. I have to align video ideas with something I am very passionate about, not just somewhat passionate about, unfortunately. Right, so if you don't know, I want to become a game designer, and I think I should use my YouTube channel as an outlet to track and organize my growth towards that. In the past, it's kind of clear that I am very interested in game design, especially the artistic aspect of level design, art style, stuff like that. So I should be focusing on, stuff like Blender, Unity, and just general art and design practice, stuff I can do myself. While I have analyzed stuff before, and I think I should do a lot more to analyze more things beyond just, Batman or Fallout or whatever, I need to expand my portfolio of analysis. But beyond just analysis and all that stuff, I need to go the extra mile and actually put this stuff into practice with something like Blender, Unity, and other art and design practice I can do. For all the Batman fans, I've had the idea of continuing my Arkham Knight map redesign series. That there was like one or two live streams I did, but instead of just doing it in Photoshop, I could make a miniature version of the city in Blender in a live series of some sort, and it would look something like this image, maybe. Links in description to the original. An even bigger idea I had was making a fictional retro documentary about the Batman Continues movie that was never made by Tim Burton. Basically, Tim Burton, after Batman Returns, was sort of pulled off by WB, not really directly, but they really didn't want him to make another Batman film because Batman Returns was so criticized and controversial for its adult themes and stuff like that. So they really didn't want him to continue his series, even though, as a fan of Tim Burton's Batman work, I feel like it would have been really cool, and I'm really interested in what that would have looked like. And so I thought of, designing my own, basically. I was designing basically this entire city set in Blender and putting it into Unity for like cutscenes or whatever to like show off the build. But I realized just how much of an undertaking it would be to make something to the quality of something like that Batman demo that came out a while ago. It's a ton of work. People who make big stuff like this have worked in the industry for a bit to know how to actually have a workflow to make something that big. I'm just starting here. I was even about 40 pages into my fictional Batman Continues script. Yes, I was actually writing the whole movie and creating detailed plans for the city set and everything. Anyways, this isn't really what this video is about, okay? You saw the title. I'm talking about Batman now. Everything's about Batman. This is basically background to explain that this video exists because you will see something I am genuinely passionate about and probably matters in the long run. This is very experimental. It's not really new. People have done this before, but I want to try. Will this end up happening? Just look at my past series and make a good judgment. I don't know. I want to make this video. I think this video is fun. It's something I'm actually inspired to make out of all the video ideas I've had. What is Project Titania? Well, it's the code name for my first concepted video game, and hopefully making a devlog series can help me get a working prototype up and running, my first ever prototype I've ever made. See, as much as I have thought about and analyzed games before, as much as I've criticized games before, I need to actually put these concepts into practice, like I said earlier. I need to take inspiration from games that have impacted me in the past. Imagine a nature-esque area of some sort, a park at night. Autumn trees, mossy rocks, gentle streams coming around. It's all seemingly man-made, but still beautiful and calming. Past the barrier is the beginnings of a set of buildings. The architectural style is familiar, yet different. There are clear Victorian and Art Deco inspirations, yet it almost seems beyond contemporary, almost futuristic. Above, further past these buildings are utilities such as sharp antennas and rods that seem sci-fi in nature. Lights flash in the dark silhouette of the distant city skyline. Suddenly, a turquoise object moves into frame behind it all, a giant orb of thick, blue gas. The contrasted brightness of this object now reveals the metal linings of what seems to be a massive dome, once invisible to the darkness of the stars, a dome reaching over the entire city. Uranus is the 7th planet in the solar system, discovered by William Herschel in 1781. It could easily be considered one of the weirdest planets in our solar system, being that it rotates on its side instead of on the plane of the solar system like every other planet in the system. The only spacecraft to visit the ice giant was Voyager 2 in 1986. The 27 known moons of Uranus are seemingly ordinary, according to this flyby. They are made up of darker, desaturated colors made from ice and rock, like usual. Some of the 5 major moons may still experience some geological activity in the form of cryovolcanism. Unfortunately, Uranus and its moons have not been studied to the great extent of many objects closer to the Sun, closer to us. While we have high-quality images of these moons, we only saw half of each of them. Uranus's 4th regular moon is named Titania, after the queen of the fairies in the Shakespearean play A Midsummer Night's Dream. Looking to the future, in the early 2100s, humanity discovered something in the Uranian system previously hidden from observation. Despite immense difficulty and decades of planning, a permanent colony was eventually created on Titania to study its properties that would come to alter time itself. So the idea for this game is to combine aspects I most appreciate from my favorite games. For Fallout, it would be the unique art style and getting lost in exploration. Arkham, excellent pacing and detailed environmental design. Outer Wilds, truth in systems, and immersion. This isn't everything I love about these games, but these are the specific sort of bullet points, 2 strengths from each of these games that I want to infuse into my own game. And what is this game's genre? Maybe immersive sci-fi puzzle mystery game? I don't know yet. We'll see. I would describe myself as more of a design-oriented person, someone who loves the details of the art direction and narrative. My technical skills, on the other hand, is something I need to be more confident in and, show more competence in. Fortunately, I'm informed enough to know that the fancy art stuff that I absolutely adore and love isn't important right now. The mechanics of this game are the priority. Since this is my first game, I don't want to go crazy with the amount of features present, but even then, there is still a lot to be done. Much of these mechanics won't be groundbreaking or 100% original, of course. So the general mechanics I want to include in the prototype are a variety of movement options, dialogue, stealth, and possibly combat. I don't know yet. These simple tools will be the foundation for puzzles throughout the game. Also, for the sake of simplicity and being that I don't want too many mechanics, there is no leveling system or upgrades yet. This is something I really appreciate about Outer Wilds specifically, the fact that everything you need is there from the start, you just don't know it yet. And I think I would be perfectly comfortable integrating that into this game as well. Furthermore, the standout mechanics of this game here have to do with time. So imagine the time warping level in Dishonored 2 or that one in Titanfall 2 or something like that, where you can teleport between 2 timelines of the same location. This mechanic allows for interesting level design puzzles and enemy encounters. In my game, I want to use the same idea, but the time warp is not in the control of the player, but is on an actual schedule, like a clock, something the player would need to prepare for and anticipate when achieving different goals throughout the map. The future the player is teleported to shows a weathered, failed version of a once great city on Titania. The reason for how this happened could be a core part of the mystery narrative. Now you might be able to think of a game that has a similar idea. The Forgotten City, for example, is a game where the timeline of a mysterious Roman city is destroyed every time the player fails to stop themselves or someone else from committing a crime. This means the player will have to repeat this time loop over and over and over again until they can figure out how to save the city from its fate. There are other similarities that could be made as well. I mean, the idea of uncovering what caused a failed society is comparable to BioShock or Prey or something like that. A time loop is easily comparable to Outer Wilds. Simply put, I don't need most of this game to be entirely innovative. It's my first game, but I should try to infuse originality where I can. So the main mechanic that I want to be the most original in this game, that I hope will draw eyes to this game, is another time-based one. But it's something I don't think I've seen done in this way or this form yet, or at least not very much. Imagine this city on Titania has a time limit in the future, not just of the city failing itself, but it being destroyed. Eventually, a natural occurrence is going to destroy the city completely and would mean the death of the main character. By this point, the player should have discovered some technology that could help them evade this. They are forced to use a teleporter that brings them back to the very beginning of the game. Shockingly, they will see the past version of themselves get up and begin their journey, a journey you already did in the past. This past version is literally you, in the sense that the game recorded your previous action is now inputting them into an NPC in real time. So now you have another loop, another chance to solve this mystery, figure out what's going on, but a past version of you is walking around too, and if they see you, space-time is destroyed, game over. What I think would be awesome is if this could be done more than one time, where 2 past versions of you end up in the map, maybe 3. The mechanic makes the entire game, the whole timeline, a puzzle in of itself, or at least that's what I want to capture. And so this game is intended for multiple consecutive playthroughs, as the player will inevitably create a situation too difficult to evade or simply die to natural causes. Maybe even a single playthrough is not enough to show all of the game's content in the first place. This could maybe be comparable to a roguelike game, but there isn't as much randomness tied in. So this is sort of a time loop game, but each loop is like an hour apart, and in between each loop you are forced between the future and the past. Time itself is working against you in multiple ways, and I think it would be satisfying to learn how to overcome these crazy odds and uncover a narrative that will have philosophical and realistic underpinnings. So, what have I done? Not much. I've mainly been designing the idea for this game. And recently I started on a character controller in Unity. All they can do right now is run and jump. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not very familiar with Unity, so this game is forcing myself to learn game design and coding an engine. Will this be a YouTube series that has 1 episode and goes nowhere? I don't know. Will this devlog lay in the graveyard of other failed devlog attempts? I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's basically my motto for this entire channel. We will see. But tell me if you guys have any ideas in the comments about what do you think of this idea? Do you think it's too similar to other games? What do you think I can do with this game? This is my first thing. I'm having to watch tutorials for everything. I'm having to figure this out. I have not coded in C# many times before, so I'm figuring it out. But this is a video I actually kind of wanted to make, to visualize this idea. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, at least you can see something I was passionate about for like 2 weeks, and you know, if it goes nowhere, whatever, at least you get to see it.